Ready? Play.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Just remember to remove the mute button just in time there, Mario. How are you doing?
Everything fine. And yeah, that's all. What about you?
Yeah, we've had about more or less a week, or I've had more or less a week without tennis. I know we had a little bit in Dubai, but I have absolutely no idea what happened, really. I think I saw Djokovic lose to Zverev between Team Sharks, Team Falcons, Team Hawks. I didn't really follow it, I have to say. Did you follow it?
Yeah, it was, I have to be honest, it was more like an exhibition that the previous exhibition tournaments we saw, like in Abu Dhabi or in Saudi Arabia. There were more jokes. It was also funnier for some point of view, but yeah, we still kind of had some indication, because for example we saw for the first time Pavlyuchenkova, for example, after injury, because she played her last match in Rome, so not even in Roland Garros. And yeah, for example, she looked quite good, at least physically. And same for Zverev, who played some good matches. Yeah, in the end, it was funny because the team with all the former injured players won. There was
did they?
Team Zverev, Pavlyuchenkova. So yeah, it's been a fun event, because I like when men and women have the opportunity to interact with each other, to play some mixed doubles. So it's been good. I like the event, except for the Kurt collar, which was like my sweatshirt.
Oh yeah, I know. I saw a lot of
comments. It was difficult to see the ball at the beginning, but fortunately, in the end, at least they put the camera more a lower camera, so it became a bit easier in the end, but still funny.
Yeah, I saw a lot of comments about the court color. I think Renee Stubbs and many others were very perplexed by that. Listen, we're not here though to talk about falcons and eagles and cats and dogs. We are here to talk about the United Cup, which is one of the maybe the most significant build-up tournament to the Australian Open. Pretty much all the players that will be competing in Australia, I say pretty much, I'd say about 80 to 90% are either en route to Australia or actually even in Australia right now, obviously with tournaments in Adelaide. There are a couple of other tournaments, of course, taking place in India and New Zealand, where obviously certain players will be. But the majority are in Australia, and many of the contenders, with the exception of a certain Serbian, are playing in the United Cup. Serbia is not being represented, but there are 18 countries in all, spread across, I think, 6 groups of 3. In fact, let's have a quick look at some of the details regarding the United Cup. I will just sort of address those, and then I'll come to you on some of your thoughts. So it's kicking off on the 29th of December. Which is 29th of December Australian time. For 1 or 2 countries, it'll still be the 28th, because it'll be starting today, this afternoon, this evening, depending on where you are. I think it'll be about midnight Central European time, and therefore around about 11 p.m. GMT, but give or take an hour on that, so don't take my word for it. But anyway, as I said to you, we've got 18 teams. It's going to be a mixed competition as well, which is obviously quite exciting. Mario touching on that there, how much we're looking forward to those kind of tournaments. It's going to be spread across 3 cities and 11 days. Those 3 cities being Sydney, Perth, and Brisbane. One thing I think is a bit kind of unusual is that one of the cities is got an indoor court, Perth, while the other ones have outdoor courts. I'm not sure if that makes it an even competition. I'm not sure if Perth maybe has a bit more rain at this time of year. Yeah, I'm just a bit perplexed by that. I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, it's quite weird for a tournament to be held in different cities and in different condition, indoor, outdoor. But yeah, probably I think that they have probably studied the thing, and so I hope that more or less, even because they will use the same balls, so probably I think and I hope that the condition will be, I won't say the same, but still quite similar. But yeah, it's. I'm interested to watch this competition because it's the first time ever. Because it kind of replaces the old old ATP Cup, and it includes women, but yes, it has also a lot of national teams. It will be interesting to see all this fact about the ranking points, and to watch even some lower ranked player, because as regards the entry requirements for this tournament, we have, for example, I'm thinking about Team Norway, which entered the event thanks to Casper Ruud, who is number 3 in the world. But there are also some players, some lower ranked players who will play singles matches. I still think it will be interesting, and I think we can enjoy it. Probably after this first edition, we will find some issues in the organization, in the format, and probably by the time they will put some little corrections.
Yeah, right. I listen. I don't want to get sidetracked too much, but I do wish all these different team events would sort of bang their heads together and kind of like separate themselves a bit more and maybe be a bit less frequent. I certainly think the Laver Cup could be mixed. I certainly think the Laver Cup could be less frequent, every 2 years, for example. I certainly think that the ATP Cup was right in that, I didn't quite understand the point of having the ATP Cup be just after the Davis Cup kind of thing, in that Davis Cup concludes in November. So I just wish that some of these team events would sort of thin out a little bit. I'd rather have one big, amazing team event a year, or even less frequent, and make it really special, like in the Olympics.
Yeah, like a World Cup.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just do, you could do it like at the Olympics and make the Olympics a really rich tournament if you wanted to. But listen, anyway, let's get back to this. Mario, before we went on air, you were just touching on as well about some of the ranking points on offer.
Yeah, it's not the usual ranking system points, so it's not so easy for all of the fans, because it is to understand, because the rewards in terms of ranking points will depend on your opponent's ranking. And also on which stage you will play against that player. So, for example, if you beat a top 10 in the final, you will earn 180 points. But if you beat a top 10 in the group stage, you will earn only 55 points. So it's different, and it also depends on your ranking. So if you play against Rafael Nadal, or it's not the same as if you're playing Matteo Berrettini, and it's not the same if you're playing against I don't know, Petros Tsitsipas, I'm thinking. So so yeah, it will not be so easy like usual, because usually it's, if you reach quarterfinals, you had these points, 360 points, for example, if you are at a Grand Slam. And here it's not the same. yeah, so it's also impossible to list all all the cases, because there are too many cases, because it depends if you win in the final, in the semifinals, in the city final, or against a top 10, against the number 300s in the world. So yeah, but the most important thing is that you can earn maximum 500 points. So if you beat only top 10 players in all stages of the tournaments, you will earn 500 points. I don't know, probably I think it's not so much for a tournament of 11 days, but yeah, I still understand that they can't award too many points for a competition like this. But I don't know what to think about the issue of the ranking points. It's difficult because I'm not used to watch national team competitions with ranking points. We saw in ATP Cup, but we are not so used to. So yeah, I don't think it's gonna be the most important thing of the competition. It'll be an important thing, most probably for lower ranked player. Will be very, very important, but I don't think for top players it'll be the most important thing of the competition.
True. I was just having a quick look at the ranking points differences, and so therefore, no matter what happens, Nadal will not be able to reach number one before Melbourne, with an 800-point difference between him and Alcaraz. But perhaps we might see some movers and shakers. We might see Casper Ruud usurp Nadal into second place, and of course that may affect the draw. Therefore, in Australia, of course, there'll be other players playing other competitions. You know, Djokovic will be playing in a 250, I think, in Adelaide, for example. But I don't think Djokovic is likely to move pretty much, because obviously the fourth place player, Tsitsipas, is far enough away, and as is Felix in sixth, to not make that so relevant. Anyway, back to the tournament itself. I was just having a quick look at the format. Of course, we've got 6 groups of 3. With Greece, Belgium, and Bulgaria, for example, playing in Perth in one group, and so on and so forth. We can see all these groups here. The top place team, I believe, in each group, that'll mean 6. Am I right? Six winners. So that'll be 6 winners, and then will it be? How will they then decide the next 2?
Okay, so we'll have 6 teams that will win their own group, and then there will be played a city final. So a tie between the 2 group winner of that city, and so we'll have 3 out of 4 semifinalists.
Okay.
So the other semifinalists will be the best team among the teams that will be eliminated. So then we're going to have a final 4 in Sydney, so semifinals and final.
I'm not sure if the tennis world couldn't find a round figure. 16 works, 32 works. I mean, we've got 18 teams.
Yeah.
Teams of, anyway, 3 in a group and all the rest of it. But anyway, I see what you mean with the city final. I guess that makes things a little bit interesting for the host cities, particularly those that won't be hosting the final. Of course, Sydney will be having that pleasure. We've obviously got a lot of stars playing there. Nadal and Casper Ruud, I touched on before. France are being represented, of course, strongly with Garcia. Sakkari and Tsitsipas will be leading the Greek team. And, of course, the Greeks will be heavily backed in Australia.
Yeah, it's also a bit difficult because now it's also a bit difficult, I was saying, because the tie won't be played in one day in the group stage, but will be, for example, on 29th and 30th of December. I'm thinking, for example, about Italy versus Brazil, which starts today but will finish on Friday the 30th. So it's gonna be a bit tricky for me, at least in the group stage. But we'll see. I don't want to be to be close-minded, so let's see.
Yeah, true. Listen, let's see how it pans out. At least once we get to the semi-finals, things will be much clearer. And then maybe to begin with, we can maybe focus on some of the individuals, see how they're looking in terms of their tennis before Australia. One or two, of course, will be coming back from injuries, such as Rafa. In fact, Rafa has been speaking to the media. I have a little nice article here on talking-tennis.com. Where he said, hopefully, obviously, the big event that most people are planning for is the Australian Open. And he did say that hopefully this won't be his last. He was asked whether that might be, bearing in mind his age and condition over the last 6 months, obviously with quite a few injuries. But he has said that hopefully it won't be his last. He's also said he's very pleased that Djokovic will be obviously at the Australian Open. And just a tail of this article, by the way, not probably the main part, but a final sort of line. Unfortunately, we won't be getting Nadal against Kyrgios because they were due to play each other. I think we've got Spain, Britain, and Australia all in one group, which for me seems to be quite competitive. Probably with Spain as the favourites, particularly with Paula Badosa there, Pablo Carreño Busta, and so on and so forth. But Kyrgios has withdrawn through injury. We've got here in The Guardian as well saying that teammates were stunned by the last minute withdrawal just 10 minutes before a press conference was about to happen. I don't know what the issue is. Do you know, Mario?
To be honest, no, I don't know. But I know what Tsitsipas said about him pulling out about injury. Because press journalists there asked him a question, and Tsitsipas answered like, I'm not surprised, and I hope he enjoys his holidays. And I was like, okay.
I mean, they were teammates a couple of weeks ago for an exhibition, weren't they, in a doubles match in
yeah, I don't know. I don't know how's going their relationship, but probably not so good.
Anyway, I mean, there's been worse comments said about Kyrgios, that's for sure. But yeah, so he's pulled out, which is a pity for both Australia and the spectacle. Nadal, of course, has touched down in Sydney, as was already mentioned. He's been on the practice courts. Elsewhere, I did see Djokovic as well in Adelaide is already there, long ahead of that tournament beginning, because I think that doesn't start till next week. But anyway, back to the this tournament here. Who do you anticipate as being the favourites? I guess Italy, Canada as well have to be reckoned with, bearing in mind they've just won the Davis Cup.
Yeah, I was thinking about yes, Spain is a great team. It depends a little bit on how Paula Badosa is, because yeah, from as regards the men, they are really, really good because Rafa is number one and then Pablo Carreño Busta number two, so a very strong and solid team. They have Badosa, who is a very good player. It depends a little bit if she has recovered a bit mentally from what happened last year, which was a pretty difficult season for her. I still think that Australia can be quite good things because they play at home. There's still the Minor from the men's side and Tomljanovic from the women's side. Yeah, Italy has a good team. They are the favorite for in their group because they're gonna play Brazil and they're gonna play Norway. So I think that Italy is the favorite to go through their group, but I also can pick Greece because I know that their team is probably not so much deep, but they have two very, very top players like Tsitsipas and Sakkari, who can team up also for the mixed double in case of 2-2-all. So yeah, things are interesting. today plays one of the best guys of the last season, for example, Taylor Fritz, who will kick off the new season against Lehecka. But I think that Group B is really interesting. Poland, Switzerland, because Switzerland has a very strong women's team, but Poland has Swiatek. And then Poland has also Hubert Hurkacz. But when you have Stan Wawrinka in your team, who knows? Stan Wawrinka can still play really good tennis. So it's kind of be very, very interesting that group. It's a bit difficult to predict who's gonna be the favorite because it's also the beginning of the season. So for example, we have to see how Zverev will look in a competitive tennis match, because he only played in exhibitions so far. Because right now I can't say if Zverev or Fritz, for example, because it depends. In his career, Zverev has done a lot, so probably in normal condition is gonna be the favorite against Taylor Fritz, but I can't say it right now. I think so. It's also Czech Republic, because there's Petra Kvitova. So it's difficult because we also have to think about the men and women in the teams. So there are some strong teams, but I think it's difficult to predict the clear favorites of this event. But
yes,
I don't know. I probably will say Spain if I have to choose.
Each group maybe has a slight favorite depending on the group. Some in groups I think are a bit clearer than others. I think Greece are probably a little bit lucky with their group. Maybe I'm being harsh on Belgium and Bulgaria, but maybe the Greeks group is not the worst group in the world when we have a look at other groups in particular. So perhaps they're the favorites there. I would probably just make Poland slight favorites. But as you say, Switzerland winning the Billie Jean King Cup cannot be discounted. US, I would make favorites in this group. Zverev still coming back from injury, as touched upon. This is probably the closest group, but also the winner will fancy their chances. Probably between Spain and Australia, bearing in mind Britain's lack of success in team tournaments in 2022, I would suggest. Over here, I would have Italy as the favorites, and then France in Perth. One more little complaint as well. Why not have Group A and B in Perth, C and D in Sydney's perfect. So we're looking on the screen here and we can see, okay, the winners will play off.
Yeah.
Just now we've got E and F in Perth and Brisbane, just to make it a little bit easier on my screen. Think of our screens, please. United Cup next year. Put A and B in one city and so on and so forth. And that way we can have a clearer image of how things are. But anyway, let's just have a quick look at Sydney one more time. If United States win this group and Spain win this group, they then play in a semi-final. However, one of them could lose that semi-final. But if it's close, for example, if it goes to a deciding doubles match, and therefore it's 3-2, for example, they could, by virtue, still find themselves in another semi-final kind of thing, because you'll have Greece against, let's say United States against Poland. United States against Spain.
Yeah. Then Italy's group and Poland's group to meet each other in the city final.
Yeah,
because they both play.
You're going to have
Brisbane.
3 city finals, right? You're going to have 3 city finals, and those 3 winners will go into the semi-finals, and the best loser, if you like, will go into the semi-finals. I mean, fine, but we might have another Canada-style situation where a country loses its city final, but then still wins the tournament. I don't know. It just feels a bit odd to me. When I'm sure this could have been fixed with 16
we know, because tennis is a bit different. For example, we saw, for example, in football, you can lose the first match against Saudi Arabia and then win the World Cup. And for us, it's normal. It's normal because in football, it's always worked like that.
Mario, in a group, I agree. But if you're having a knockout match like a city final
Yeah.
or a semi-final or a final, I completely understand it. I have no problem at the end of year finals on the WTA. That's the group stages, the round robin. You lose a match, you win 2, you probably go through. But if you're now in a knockout match where 3 teams lose their knockout match, but 1 team still goes through. Yeah, I mean, if you lose your semi-final, you're out. You don't then go, oh, you know what, we'll have you because you did all right in that semi-final. You only lost by 1 goal or whatever. So that's my problem.
Yeah, I think the same. I just think that why 18 team instead of 16? I don't know. Yeah, it's a bit strange. I personally prefer the knockout normal event for my personal tastes, but yeah, we'll see how's gonna work. How's gonna work out? Yeah, that's the reason why they're gonna play the mixed doubles in the group stage anyway, and also in the city final, because then we have to see how many matches a team has won, how many matches a team has lost.
So even if it's 3-0, Mario, or 4-0, they will still play the 5th doubles match. Yeah.
Yeah, only semi-final and final not, or obviously, because it's knockout, so it's useless. But yeah, on the other stages they should be playing also the doubles, because they're gonna make the standing, and so that the doubles can decide which team among the losers will go through the semifinals. So every point, every game, every match is important in the early stages. But yeah, for the moment, I think that I'm gonna probably concentrate more on the individuals, because I'm very interested in watching how some particular players will look like in their first matches of the season. Also, I was talking about Zverev, but also Rafa Nadal, because he finished the 2022 season going out early in Turin, and he's gonna play anyway some good opponents like Cameron Norrie and Deminor. So still two very good matches to test his level. So yeah,
I do
it will
think
be interesting.
I think Nadal and Spain are probably from a competitive tournament perspective. I do think Kyrgios's absence is a little favor for them. I think Nadal as the player, and especially somebody who's got his one eye on defending his crown in Melbourne in a couple of weeks. I think that he probably would rather be playing Kyrgios to see where he's at, if you like. But anyway, I agree. I think
but
Nadal's
even for the world competition, let's imagine an Australian team with Tomljanovic, Kyrgios, Deminor. It would be very, very competitive team. Also for why not for winning the title at home. Let's just remember that Australian team has lost the finals in both Davis Cup and Billie Jean King Cup, so they did very, very well in team competition. As regards Rafa, I agree. Yeah, even if probably Nick Kyrgios is one of these players who needs to play some matches to get at his best possible form. I still don't know. I'm curious to watch some of his Instagram stories, because he always tells a lot on his social media regards his particular reasons. Because it's kind of weird, because he said yes to coming to the competition. So
I think injuries happen, no problem with that. I guess the only thing is it's now, I don't know, 12 or so hours since he pulled out, and there was no reason. Normally, listen, Mario, you invite me to a party and I say yes, and then 10 minutes before, whatever, or one day before the party, I just say I can't come. Normally it's polite to say why, even if you invent a reason. Even if you just say, oh, I'm a bit tired.
I know.
But anyway, there we go. Listen, but there are other things going on, and there we go. And for curiosity's sake, fingers crossed, it's not anything too serious, and he's okay for obviously his home tournament or his home country's tournament in Melbourne, which gets underway, I think, on the 17th of January. Listen, I'm going to bring this to a close, Mario. I want a prediction from you and any other final thoughts in terms of this United Cup tournament.
I expect Greek team to do very, very well. As I said before, I think that Tsitsipas and Sakari can create a very, very good connection in their team and can team up also for doubles if necessary. And I think that probably they're not among the top 2-3 teams, but I think they can go through the semifinals. I think yes. So that's my prediction for this tournament. I see Spain as the favorite, but I see Greece as a very, very tricky team to face.
I mentioned Canada in the build-up, but there is
no there's
Canada
not Canada. There is not Canada. Now I was looking at Canada. Yeah,
it's my fault. I said Canada, but that why not?
It depends about you can enter this tournament in different ways, or about combined ranking, or thanks to your top players ranking. And probably Canadian guys have decided to not to come. For example, I know that Felix will be in Adelaide, along with Djokovic, Medvedev, Rune, Sinner, and it's a 250 tournament. So yeah, it's gonna start on 1st January, but it's gonna be a very, very interesting tournament, regardless of his status.
So Sinner is not in the Italy lineup. Okay, yeah, we've got
Berrettini and Musetti, and then Trevisan as first female and Bronzetti second. But I think still a solid team, because there's I know there's still a very, very strong doubles players, which is Vavassori, who can play doubles but can play also Berrettini. Let's see. I don't know. It also depends on how, for example, how Berrettini is physically, because we also don't know how he is. He came back for Davis Cup. He played one doubles, but not so much to make some kind of judgment. So there is a lot to discover during this tournament, because there are few certainties. One of those certainties for me is Taylor Fritz, who's gonna kick off the season tonight, and I'm very, very interested in watching how's gonna start his 223 season.
I agree. I think Fritz is one that we've all got an eye on. Maybe that is the strongest four there, if you like.
Look, Jessica Pegula, but also Tiafoe Keys, Alicia Parks finished the season very, very well, the 2022. It's a very, very strong team.
I'm going to go for the US, therefore, to win the whole thing. I think you're right. Obviously, Spain can't be discounted either. I think Kyrgios's absence might just hurt Australia. So I'm going to go for the US to win the whole thing. Who are you going for to win the whole thing? Spain, right?
Yeah, I'll go with Spain.
All right. Well, US and Spain are our tips. Maybe we'll be seeing you in the final with steaks and hamburgers against tapas and paella. We'll see how that pans out, but we'll all be down under. We'll all be having sleepless nights over the next sort of 4 or 5 weeks. I say sleepless nights, at least if you're in Europe like Mario and I, but also probably if you're in North America. If you're fortunate enough to be in Australia, have a good time. Take care with that sun. Enjoy these build-up tournaments, and Talking Tennis will try and lead you all the way through this sort of hectic 4 or 5 weeks. But for now, Mario, thanks for stopping by.
Thank you as always.
And I will leave everyone with this goodbye video. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.